Plus, you have the work ethic and all. Like, the Eagles know what Jalen Hurts is, and Nick Sirianni says all the time. I don't know what his ceiling is. How many times has he said this, Ed? But he's going to reach it.
Got your Mega Mac guys here on Birds 365. Jody McDonald, John McMullen, and our buddy Easy Ed Kracz from Sports Illustrated, Eagle Maven, jumping in with us here on a Tuesday before the second half starts. All right, Ed, I want to follow up on the conversation I was having with John by asking you a question. If you were Howie Roseman and you took a call on July 1st this year, and Howie be making a whole bunch of calls this week with the NFL trade deadline now exactly 1 week away. But if you got a call on July 1st from the Bears general manager and they offered you Justin Fields straight up for Jalen Hurts. Now, I'm not talking about today. I'm not talking about last week of October. I'm talking about July 1st. So what has transpired between July 1st and this hasn't happened yet. If you were the general manager and they offered you Justin Fields for Jalen Hurts, would you not have pulled the trigger?
I don't think I would have. And listen,
why?
Hindsight, I'm not a big believer in Big Ten quarterbacks. I know. Listen, you're lumping.
Never scout the helmet, Joe.
But somehow you're a Sam Howell guy.
He's an ACC guy.
ACC.
He's a stiff, is what he is.
The Big Ten to me just doesn't produce quarterbacks.
Yeah, Ed, that Brady guy sucks. I gotta give it to you, big guy. That Brady guy. How he's lasted in the league for 22 years is beyond my imagination as a Big Ten guy.
Give me another one.
I don't
have to go any further. When you got to go, you don't have to go to
20 years ago. That was 25 years ago. I mean, come on.
By the way, Justin Fields has, and the Eagles had a chance to draft Justin Fields, so they didn't want Justin Fields for whatever reason. They could have drafted.
I wasn't asking the Eagles. I'm asking Ed.
Well, you asked him about Howie
Roseman.
I will say this though: when you say Big Ten quarterback, first of all, first rule of scouting: never scout the helmet. Fields started at Georgia. So he's sort of Jalen Hurts. He went, Jalen went to Alabama, finished at Oklahoma. He started at Georgia, finished at Ohio State. So technically he's an SEC quarterback.
How many reps did he get at Georgia? How many snaps did he get? I mean,
not many, but he got the Georgia.
Play. And the Big Ten
got beat out by a bad quarterback.
But wait, are you going to blame that on Justin Fields? You're going to blame that on the Georgia coach?
Yeah, they made the wrong decision.
It's so hard to look at this kid at Ohio State.
After Jalen Hurts got up and left. We saw him here last year against the Eagles. He can't freaking play.
Well, listen, look at this C.J. Stroud kid at Ohio State now. How do you evaluate him? He's throwing the wide open guys. And Ohio State has had good receivers come into this league.
Yeah, they have great
receivers. It's so hard to evaluate the college quarterback because so many guys are so
I'll give you another, since you're not counting Jalen Hurts as an SEC guy, I'll give you another Big Ten guy, Joe Burrow.
Well, he's an SEC guy.
No, he's not.
Well,
you just said it's where you start, it's where you finish, not where you start.
But how many?
He was a Big Ten guy to start. He was at Ohio State. He couldn't beat out Justin
play
Fields.
At Ohio State. Listen, he was developed at LSU. He wasn't developed at Ohio State.
Yeah, by the way, that proves it is typical with quarterbacks because, for some reason, Ohio State didn't see what Joe Burrow had. For some reason, Georgia didn't see what Justin Fields had, and they had to go elsewhere, which is, probably a college football problem more than anything else. But, Georgia clearly made the wrong decision, but they won a national championship. So did they make a wrong decision? I don't know. Did they make a wrong decision? Yeah, they took the worst player, but sometimes it's for your system. Systems matter. The Eagles, there's a lot of revisionist history with the Eagles in the quarterback position because Jalen Hurts has turned the corner seemingly. A lot of people like to forget the Eagles were trying to get better at quarterback. Now they were trying to get a proven player, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, but they had a chance at Justin Fields, and for whatever reason, they didn't like Justin Fields as a player, but that's
he played in the Big Ten.
Which, by the way, what do we consider Russell Wilson?
Yeah. He's North Carolina State,
he's
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. He's a Wisconsin guy for 1 year. He played there 1 year. I'll give him that, Okay. But and Kerry Collins, he's a Penn State guy. He had a pretty nice career in the NFL. But to me, they're outliers. You look at some of these guys that come in from the Big Ten, and they're just not the typical quarterbacks you like to see. So
it's always about the player, man. Never.
I know. I get it. It's like saying USC receivers can't play because we've seen those guys fall on their face too. Although we've seen some good ones come into the league since, some of the failures. But to me, I just think when you look at Justin Fields too, I think he would be better if he was in Philadelphia with a coach staff as smart as the one that is in Philadelphia right now. I think he'd be better. Who's to say he's not as good as Jalen Hurts is right now, Justin Fields. But, listen, you already had Jalen Hurts. He had been in your system for this is his third year, came in 2020. So, he was a little further along. So maybe that's why they stayed with him rather than going with a Justin Fields.
That's a very legitimate answer because familiarity is key if you want to hit the ground running.
Plus, you have the work ethic and all. Like the Eagles know what Jalen Hurts is, and Nick Sirianni says all the time, I don't know what his ceiling is. How many times has he said this, Ed? But he's going to reach it because of his work ethic and the way he goes about his business. So when you're talking about, all right, if you're going to turn the page with another young quarterback, what are the odds another young quarterback approaches the game like Jalen Hurts? Probably not very good. And that's not an insult to Justin Fields. That's all of them. Probably not very good. So the Eagles were, all right, if we can get better with a veteran who knows how to do it as a professional, we'll go down that route. But, why go with another young quarterback and you got to go back to square one, no matter how talented they are?
But let me get your opinion on this. What colleges they played for aside, experience in the league and work ethic aside, who's got the better arm?
Fields or Hurts? I haven't seen enough of Fields to really make that judgment. I watched a little of that game Thursday night or Monday night, I guess it was.
Last night.
And he made some nice throws, but he also made some really bad throws. A short screen pass I saw that Jabril Peppers might have been able to intercept. He overthrew a guy down in the end zone. So, and I know Hurts makes those mistakes, and every quarterback's going to miss those throws. As far as strength goes of the arm, I haven't seen enough of Fields to really render a decision there. But I don't have a problem with Hurts' arm strength. I really don't.
Right. I think they're both top half of the league.
Yeah,
I think they're both. And there was a lot of people question before Jalen just had the 6 games that he's had. We're not going to win with Jalen. He just doesn't have the arm strength. I never understood that. Why people didn't see Jalen throw the ball last year and go, his arm strength isn't good. His arm strength
I don't even know. The Eagles have clapped back on that numerous times. Nick says you either you reach the level or you don't. He reaches the level. They never were concerned about his arm strength. Ed knows that from behind the scenes. Never were concerned. Now, if you line them up at the goal line and who throws the ball farthest, it's probably Fields, but who gives a flying? That's not how you play football. I mean, every once in a while, okay, Aaron Rodgers can throw the ball 70 yards in the air if you need a Hail Mary, and Trevor Lawrence you just saw it this weekend with the Hail Mary that, I don't know, went 65 yards in the air, whatever the heck it was. Who cares? You don't do that in the normal aspect of the game. It's like, I don't understand why people get, there are a bunch of, Tom Brady doesn't have a strong arm. Never had a top tier arm. I don't get why people are obsessed with that. If you reach the level, you reach the level.
But here's where I disagree with you a little bit, John. I don't think NFL people decide arm strength by who can throw it the furthest. I think a much better way to describe it, 20 yards moving out of the pocket on a line. Who can, while moving either right or left, and always a lot easier when you're going to your arm side, 20 yards on a line on the out-of-bounds marker. Who can throw it better? That's a better judge of arm strength of who can throw it 70 yards in the air. You're right. Who cares who can throw it 70 yards in the air? Who can throw it on a line, zip to it, and be able to hit a guy right at the sideline from 20 yards out while moving? That's the indicator of arm strength. And both of those guys, Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields, can do that. They're both, for me, top half of the league, no questions asked.
Yeah, I would even say some of those shorter throws, they're not short throws, but if a quarterback's in the pocket and he's throwing a pass across the field, on a 5-yard out, those are long throws. And you have to have a strong arm to get it there. So a cornerback's going to jump that route and, have a pick six in his pocket. So, I mean, that's a good judge of arm strength too. Is, are you able to make that long throw across the field? If you're rolling left and you slide left and you have to come all the way back across to the right side of the field, that's a long throw. And you have to have some zip to get it there too. It's not a punt, pass, and kick competition. Obviously, you're not looking to throw.
No, that's the thing.
Vick, 60 yards in the air, but you got to get it there on a line.
Accuracy, decision making, movement skills, arm strength. Those are the 4 things Nick Sirianni looks at, and the first 2 are a heck of a lot more important than the back 2, as he always says. So, those are the things. You got to reach a certain level, obviously, to be an NFL quarterback. But Jalen Hurts reaches that level, has always reached that level. The Eagles have never had a concern with his arm strength. I do want to turn the page towards the trade deadline, Ed, because we all know. I wish people would stipulate that, and not only fans, but media people would stipulate. Howie's calling about everybody, period. If you're a good football player, he's going to call. So, he made that non-offer offer, as I called, for Christian McCaffrey, a 3rd-round pick. When they're getting 4 picks for him, that essentially says, we just want to keep an eye on what people are worth. He's called about Brian Burns. He's not giving up 2 first-round picks. But I do think he's going to do something. And, there's a 3rd safety. More explosive tight end if one is available, to make that 12 personnel a little bit more devastating. Maybe another edge rusher, but a role player as an edge rusher. The big name trap. Everybody gets caught into it. Do you think the chemistry is real on this team? In other words, I'll phrase it this way. If you get Christian McCaffrey, if you get Brian Burns, isn't that going to affect you in a negative way, at least short term, from what you built up as the only unbeaten team in the NFL?
I think, listen, you go back to 2017, right, when he brought in Jay Ajayi, and people thought he was going to kind of, tip the apple cart a little bit there, because LeGarrette Blount was kind of your number 1 back. You had Corey Clement, getting, valuable snaps. Kenyon Barner, I think, was working his way in as a running back a little bit too. So people thought Blount would be upset when they brought in Ajayi, and he was very welcoming. I think this team can absorb anybody at this point. You could bring in whoever. And I think just the culture that they have set, that they're going to connect, right? They're going to be accountable. Jalen Hurts seems to always be out front of the, the welcome committee, right? He's always texting, the first one to text the new guy. So no, I don't think it would disrupt the chemistry at all if you brought in a Burns or a McCaffrey, or, name your superstar that they try to get, and they won't. I agree with you, but I think that whoever they bring in is going to be welcomed and is going to be embraced, and I don't think that would spoil the chemistry at all.
Yeah, I'm with Ed on this one. Just because the coaching staff and the quarterback, and he's offense, not defense, but they've got good leaders like Brandon Graham on the defense as well. That's why the one position that it might not be as good is if it's taking snaps away from Brandon. They've already done a great job of less is more with Brandon Graham. If they make it even less than that, Brandon might not be the happiest guy around. But no, I have faith in this coaching staff. The reason why I don't think the Eagles are going to make a big deal, John, is Howie, Roseman, and valuation. You like to bring this up all the time, and you're right about it. Howie is tremendous at valuation. Sometimes evaluation, not as good, but valuation, he's not going to pay the price.
No.
If the price was what McCaffrey cost, there was no way the Eagles are doing something like that. There's no way they're paying for the Burns kid from Carolina. That's not Howie Roseman's motif. Howie Roseman always seems to win the trade when it comes to valuation. And right now, I don't see him being able to pull off one where he's going to be able to rip somebody off.
I think if he wanted a running back, I mean, James Robinson just got traded
for Jody's Jets. Conditional 6th-round pick.
Yeah, a bag of footballs, really, when you think about it. I mean, it can become a 5th, but that's a great ad by the Jets. But if the Eagles really wanted to bring in a running back, I don't know why, okay, McCaffrey's the stud, let's offer a 3. We know they're not going to take it, but we're just testing the market here. But if you really wanted a running back, why wouldn't the Eagles have said, yeah, we'll give you a 5th? No conditions attached, a 5th rounder for James Robinson, and bring him in. I don't think they want a running back. I mean, I know they did it in 2017.
I think they may want a running back, but a backup running back, not more of a role player, because I don't think that Kenny Gainwell's taken that step forward like they hoped. I don't think Boston Scott, I think they're very comfortable with, but I think they believe he's limited. And we don't know much about Trey Sermon at this point. You were back in Cleveland during the summer, and you remember that sort of, I don't want to say it went viral, but Kareem Hunt was talking about requesting a trade. Nick Sirianni was pictured talking to him. They were, glad-handing each other. What about Kareem Hunt for this team? That, to me, would make a lot of sense. And I don't even know if Cleveland wants to deal him. I don't know where it is, but he's got some talent.
He does, but let me ask you a question, John. Sorry, Ed.
That's right.
Doesn't that just step directly on what you were just talking about? You don't want to screw with chemistry?
No, here's the difference.
If you go get Kareem Hunt, he's becoming your number 1 back, and Miles Sanders becomes a backup. That is something I actually do believe. That would be a big enough trade where it could potentially hurt the chemistry of the team.
Well, here's the difference between and I should have explained this better when I asked Ed the question. When he's right, and he hasn't been right for basically 2.5 years, but when he's healthy, you could make a strong argument that Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in football. He ran for 1,400 yards. He had 1,000 yards receiving in 2019. 1,000 yards receiving as a running back. He is a player that demands the football. In other words, you're making it very difficult for Shane Steichen. You have this great offense, and then all of a sudden, Christian McCaffrey's coming off the street. And if he's on the field, you have to get him involved. In the case of Kareem Hunt, he's a very good player. And this is why I don't like the Ajayi comparisons to Christian. They're 2 completely different worlds of player. It would be the same thing as Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount. All right, who's better at that point? Maybe it's Miles. Maybe it's Kareem Hunt. McCaffrey's a different level of player. Brian Burns is a different level of player. If you acquire that kind of talent, you have to get them involved. You have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. To me, Hunt comes in, good player. If Miles plays better, you play Miles. If Kareem gets hot, you play Kareem. So that's the difference to me. But, Ed, your thoughts?
Well, I think you have to be careful bringing in Kareem Hunt. He's a guy that needs a contract just like Miles Sanders needs a contract at the end of the year. You're bringing in another big decision, especially if you have to give up, a 3rd-round pick maybe to get Kareem Hunt? Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe more.
Conditional 4 maybe that goes to a 3 if he does well.
Maybe, I mean, they brought Golden Tate in 2018 for a 4th-rounder, so, maybe if they
didn't work.
But no, it didn't. But again, well, he did make that big 4th.
Big play in the playoffs. Yeah, ran the wrong route, but got the touchdown.
Yeah, but I just think Hunt brings in another problem in the decision-making process. Now you have to decide on 2 running backs, which one you're going to extend. Now that could go both ways. Players, Sanders or Hunt, could kind of sulk if they don't feel like they're being given an opportunity to, earn that next contract, or it could be a great motivator for both of them to say, hey, I'm the best, and whatever opportunities I get, I'm going to make the most of so I can get that contract extension. I don't think Howie's going to do that. I don't think he's going to bring in another headache in the postseason or in the off season to figure out what to do with. I mean, I just don't see him bringing in a Kareem Hunt. I think the Eagles really like what they have at running back. They look at Trey Sermon as another third-round pick. I mean, he was a third-round pick of the 49ers, so they view him as, hey, we got a third-round pick basically for nothing. And I think they really like Trey Sermon. And, Kenny Gainwell, again, second year, I don't think they're going to give up on him. Are they getting enough from him at this point? No. Maybe, hopefully, when he comes out of the bye, something clicks for him. We'll see. But right now, Miles Sanders is the guy. And, the Eagles like that. And I just don't think they'll bring in another running. I really don't think they'll add another running back. Now, listen, when you get down to it and the deadline gets closer, we're a week away now, but as you creep down into the last 48 hours or 24 hours and you're not getting any offers for what you really would like to have on defense, and you say, I need to do something, then maybe that kind of, desperation spurs a move that maybe is like your second tier move, like a Kareem Hunt. But I just don't think they'll bring in another player like Kareem Hunt or Brian Burns. Carolina's not trading him. I think it'll be kind of a role player, a veteran rental, maybe like a Jerry Hughes, like Jody mentioned last week.
Robert Quinn, maybe Robert Quinn
possibly. Maybe Chubb from Cleveland. Maybe Bradley Chubb.
Chubb would be more expensive,
probably, but he's not having a great year. And maybe the kid Farrell, who really hasn't done anything. Cleveland Farrell.
Get Mike Mayock involved. He'll
talk about it. Maybe he's a rental. Maybe you trade Andre Dillard for him. I straight up. I don't know. But I think that's kind of the player we're looking at, is someone that can come in and just fill a role. You don't have to bring in someone that's going to tip the apple cart in the backfield there with, contracts looming at the end of the season.
Let me get both of you guys' takes on a player who you just threw out there, Ed, Quinn from Chicago. Watched the game last night. I think he played. I think I recognized the number. I didn't see him make any plays. He's got 1 sack in 6 games. I know you go back and look at the last couple of years. He's been one of the better sack guys in the NFL. He's top 10. This year he's got 1 sack in 6 games. And Johnny Mac's favorite, I think he's got like 3 hurries. He might not be motivated to be there. He's a 10-year guy. He's 32 years old. I think the guy's got nothing left in the tank. If you're trading for Robert Quinn, you're trading for his name more than his production.
Big name trap. His career. Big name trap. Yeah.
Don't go there, Howie. Don't go there.
And he's got a huge contract too. So it's almost like, the compensation, they might have to factor in the money too. The Bears might have to pick up some of that tab because that's a big contract. And I think he's signed for another 2 years after this.
2 more after this? I thought it was only 1. You might be
maybe,
right.
Maybe it is. I think it is 1. I think it is 2024 or 2023. Yeah, I think it is just 1.
By the way, with number. Robert Quinn, he had 18.5 sacks last year. Last year.
How many's he got through 6 games, John?
He's got 1. So to me, it's more of he probably doesn't want to be there. I don't know how you fall off a table that large that quickly to be that good and all of a sudden turn into somebody who's a non-entity. But you're right. I mean, my issue with edge rusher, and I want a third safety. I want a special teams player. I want a backup tight end. I don't want an edge rusher. I don't want to mess with what's going on at edge. Who are you going to sit? I know Eagles fans, for whatever reason, still don't believe in Brandon Graham, but he is playing at an incredibly high level, albeit on a pitch count. Josh Sweat is a really good player. I think he's maybe the most underrated player on this team. And Hassan Reddick has been, as advertised, one of the top 10 pass rushers in this league. Who are you taking snaps away from?
Right.
I don't like that. I don't like that thought process of the grass is always greener. What's here is really good. Look at safety. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had to miss 16 plays. It was a disaster because they had to go to Kayvon Wallace. That, to me, should be the focus.
Yeah. I mean, listen, what about Jabril Peppers? I mean, he doesn't play a whole lot in New England. I mean, I think I looked that up because I think safety is certainly – I think safety and D-line. You could even say defensive tackle. If there's a defensive tackle out there because –
They got 100 defensive tackles, Ed. They're playing.
They're getting enough from Marlon T. and Milton Williams. I think Milton Williams we talk about Kenny Gainwell not developing. I'm not sure Milton Williams has taken that
Jody's
next
with
step
you there.
Yeah,
I think he's been banged up with that knee injury. I think that's affected Milton, but he's playing through it. I think coaches like that.
But Jabril Peppers, to me, is a guy that you might want to target, right, from the Patriots. He plays 30%.
They don't like box safeties, though. They
How about Chuck Clark? The Ravens are still in the hunt
here.
He's playing 100% of the snaps, but sooner or later they're going to have to turn the page and go to Kyle Hamilton, right?
Have you seen the Ravens secondary this year? Oh, my God, they're the worst in the National Football League. I thought it was going to be a strength. They give up more passing yards than anybody in the entire NFL. I don't watch – I don't break down game film on them, Ed, but there's got to be a reason for it. The Chuck Clarks of the world might not be playing as well as we thought they were going to play this year.
All right, I'm going to throw a knuckleball at you. Not really a knuckleball, but I give credit to Jimmy Kempski, our buddy, because he brought it up. Rodney McLeod. Why not bring Rodney back to be the third safety? Indianapolis would probably trade him. He's an older player. He knows how to play, knows the system. As the third safety, what the Eagles love to reunite? They just reunited with Greg Ward. They always bring people back. Why not Rodney McLeod?
Well, I would say Anthony Harris. He's not going to cost you anything. Go bring Anthony Harris.
Is he on the street right now?
He's in the practice squad.
No, I think he's Denver's practice
squad. You could bring him in for nothing and, cut Kayvon Wallace or whoever.
They should have kept Anthony Harris. You're right.
They probably should have. So why give up something for McLeod? I know he did a lot here and this and that, but, Harris is a very good leader. I know his game's probably average at best. But, he'd be a good third safety, play, 20% of the snaps, whatever role you carve out for him.
That's a good point as well. They should have kept Anthony.
I would go Anthony Harris. I would sign him off the practice squad of the Broncos and, figure out where to put him on the 53. If that's the way you want to go, don't trade for somebody. Bring in Anthony Harris. He's fine. He knows the system. He's a good leader, liked in the clubhouse.
All right, Eddie, the Eagles get back at it this week against Pittsburgh. I continue to be a big Mike Tomlin fan. I thought he made a mistake last week. I thought he should have stuck with Trubisky after he won the game for him the week before. Pickett comes in, throwing INTs all over the place. Oh, by the way, that's a bad mix for the Steelers. The Eagles are the #1 takeaway team in the NFL, and Kenny Pickett is throwing interceptions left and right. That's not a good mixture if you're going to be wearing black and silver this week, black and gold. Any chance the Steelers come in here? They haven't won a game here since I think it was 65 is the last time. Wow. Franklin Field is the last time the Steelers won a game in Pittsburgh. Give me a percentage chance, 0 to 100, that the Steelers come in here and end the Eagles' undefeated season.
Percentage chance, I would say it's probably 10% they can do it.
Let's say less than 10. You went right to 10. Good job out of you, Kracz.
I did a story on the 1972 Dolphins. They talked, the 4 of the 7 surviving members of that 1972 team that are in the Hall of Fame. And Larry Zonka brought up a great point. He said it's probably going to be a team that beats them that nobody expects because there's so much parity in the league. And, that's a good point. There could be a team like the Steelers or maybe the Texans 4 days later, although I doubt it, that can trip up the Eagles. They're coming out of the bye 6-0, probably been told the last 10 days how great they are and, this and that. So I give them a 10% chance for sure.
10%. Last one for me, Ed, at Kratzy on Twitter. reademsi.com/NFL/Eagles. Nick Sirianni hates looking ahead. It's all about today. It's all about getting better today. 1% better, Ed Kracz. So get 1% better. But I look at Kenny Pickett coming in, and then it's Davis Mills, then it's Taylor Heineke. Now it's Sam Ehlinger in Indianapolis. I'm not saying they're going to make a run at the Dolphins, but they're going to make a run at double-digit undefeated. And if they don't, it would be a massive disappointment. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah. Listen, they're not going to go 17-0. I don't think. I mean, you have the Giants, the Cowboys, but they can win. They should win these next few games. But again, I go back to what Zonka said on a call leading up to Sunday nights, honoring them at the Dolphins-Steelers game, that there could be a team that, catches them off guard, or the Eagles could certainly beat themselves. I know they haven't done that. They haven't been a very highly penalized team. They haven't turned the ball over, but every now and then those kind of games creep up. So I wouldn't call it a disaster if they were to lose to one of these teams. It may help refocus them. That's sometimes what losses.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, but I just don't think it'll be the Steelers. I mean, listen, the Steelers had a chance to draft Jalen Hurts in 2020. I thought they were going to draft Jalen Hurts because Ben Roethlisberger was 38 years old, coming off an injury where he played 2 games. They needed a quarterback, and they took Chase Claypool, number 49, which shocked the heck out of me. And now they probably are trying to trade Chase Claypool. I've heard reports out of Pittsburgh that Claypool is on the trade block. So bad. You look at an organization like Pittsburgh, very smart, savvy.
I got to be honest with you. I don't think anybody was looking at drafting Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round except the Eagles. So you got to give him credit.
He was the curiosity. To me, he was the curiosity in the draft that year, was where is Jalen Hurts going to go? This mix of a runner, passer, who's going to take him? And I thought the Steelers that wasn't a really good class. It was a top-heavy class. Hurts came off the board, and then the next guy didn't get taken until the Colts took JAKIB Sports like 100 and something picks later. But to me, they needed to make a move at quarterback, and Hurts was the best guy on the board, and I was shocked when they didn't take him.
All right, do me a favor, Ed. When Bradbury gets his 3rd interception of the year and only returns it 5 yards, please turn to Bob Gross and go, yeah, you're right, he's slow. Man, he should have gotten 10 yards on that return. How he only got 5, I don't know. Please, please, please give Groats a hard time if Bradbury makes a big play on Sunday.
We do. We give Groats a hard time every time Bradbury's in the TV frame.
Somebody pretty high profile, forget, put Bradbury in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation, which I think is
absurd.
I think it's a little bit much, but he's playing. He's playing at that level. I think part of it is, he's not even the best corner on this team, so I'm not going to put Defensive Player of the Year conversation in it. But he's been tremendous, and all the Eagles additions. I did my bye-week awards for SI. A.J. Brown, Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive MVP, and I know Jalen Hurts is 2nd in the real MVP odds, but A.J. Brown to me has been the biggest impact. Hassan Reddick has been the biggest impact defensively because of his pass rush. Yep. Bradbury's been tremendous. Kaiser White to a lesser degree. Howie's rolling all 7s. Maybe he can roll another one.
Don't forget the Gardner's getting the job done too.
Yeah.
You just said when he went out for a couple of plays, it was like, we're in trouble. The safety position is falling apart with Kayvon in there. Howie has pushed all the right buttons.
Just when he did that in 2017 too, right? That was the Midas touch in 2017. Everything he touched turned to gold, and we're seeing that this year. So we'll see what golden piece he brings in this week.
We will certainly have Ed Kracz back on to talk about it next week. Thank you, Ed. Feel free to pimp McMullen and or Groats and or Martin Frank, whoever you need to. Just feel free to lambaste everybody in the press box this week.
That's what I'm here for, baby. I'm here to irritate.
Ed Kracz, non-irritation for us here on Birds 365, right?